Welcome to #Wednesdays Weekly, a weekly information session in collaboration with voluntary sector and public sector partners. This week, the session is on the Holiday Activity and Food Fund and will be delivered by Scott Hardy. Over to you, Scott.
Hey everyone, I do know some of yous, and then some of yous I may know because I've emailed you, and then others this might be the first time that we're meeting. I know we've got some people that have been involved with the Holiday and Activity Food Programme, possibly from the start. So it started in 2021, and then likewise we might have some that know nothing about it. So I'm going to do a little presentation, and hopefully it gives those that it's the first time that they're hearing about it some information about what the programme is, how it's ran the last couple of years. And then hopefully those that have been involved, there's still maybe questions you've got, how it's going to progress, why things were done in different ways, and a little bit of background about the whole programme borough-wide that you was a part of. So I am going to share my screen. It's a fairly short presentation. I'll try not to go on too long because I know you're all busy people. And like Hayley said, I'll give you a chance at the end to ask some questions and give your input on the programme as well. So I'm going to try and share my screen. It worked when I just did it a few moments ago. Hayley, will you let me know when it pops up?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're up.
Brilliant. So I'm Scott Hardy. So I'm the borough lead for the Holiday Activity and Food Programme. Sometimes it's referred to as HAF. So if you hear HAF, that's what it stands for. I'm going to go into a little bit of a background before HAF, and I'm going to start in 2016. And as I promised before, it's not a massive presentation, so I'm not going to go year by year. But I think it is important just for a little bit of context of how HAF came about and what we've done in the borough before this. So in 2016, Your Trust, or previously known as Link for Life, we delivered with Rochdale Council and the Library Service a Fit, Feed and Read programme. And that was to tackle holiday hunger, so children that may go hungry in the holidays and may be at risk of not joining in other activities and other positive clubs throughout the holiday periods, and also help children read. So we did that in a couple of the libraries. So it's Smallbridge Library and Darnhill Library, small scale. So you had 30 children at each. That was supported by townships. So all the local township councils supported that across the borough, and it quickly went to 5 libraries. So from 2017, 5 libraries across townships in Rochdale, Middleton, Haywood and Pennines all had the Fit, Feed and Read project. You've also got other projects like Middleton Holiday at Home that has been going on even longer, which has funded holiday activities just in the Middleton area, funded by local councillors for well over 10 years. To do some of the projects as well as local councillors putting money in, we had money from CCG, the Clinical Commissioning Group, Street Games, and as Your Trust, or Link for Life as it was known, then we fundraised at our centres. So we asked some of our providers, utility providers, to put money in, some of our members put monies in, and that's how we funded the Fit, Feed and Read programme. It was delivered in different sites, as I mentioned before.
This meeting is being recorded.
Am I still there, Hayley? I've dropped out then.
You've just come back in, but your screen's gone. Did your connection go?
Let me try and share my screen. So.
Yeah, don't worry.
So I'm back on?
Yeah, you're back.
So fast forward to 2021, and the Department for Education, so the government, decided to fund holiday activities that included food programme across the country. So every local authority was allocated funding to run holiday activity and food programmes from Easter 2021. Back in Easter 2021, we're still quite heavily in the pandemic, so the number of children that accessed the programme was a lot less than we're at currently at the other stages, but it's grew since then. The criteria that the Department for Education set nationally, so all projects across the country have to meet this criteria. So it has to be for children eligible for free school meals, and that's benefits related free school meals. So it's not the universal ones that children from year 2 and below get. So that's means tested benefits related free school meals. It has to include enriching activities, and that can mean a number of things. So I'll show you a couple of pictures after, and we've got lots of different providers that do lots of different types of enriching activities, from reading, poetry, outdoor activities, science. So rather than just that childcare and getting the children there, it has to be meaningful enriching activities that are included. It has to include food that meets free school meal standards. And that's really important. So it's not just about giving them anything, it's trying to tackle other things around children from, well, children across the country, and increase nutritional awareness and the food that they're getting. The programs are delivered, and this is set by the Department for Education, Easter, summer and Christmas. And each child that is eligible for free school meals should be eligible for 4 days provision in Easter of at least 4 hours. So we have got providers that do more than that. We've got providers that will do a full day, but it has to be a minimum of 4 hours. At summer, it's 4 days, 4 hours times 4 weeks, and at Christmas it's 4 days again. It has to be free provision for these children, and that's what the funding covers. And then for our deliverers, we include a training program that's growing. So we've got some training that I'll come on to in a bit. So the latest program that we run across the borough, so there were 73 sites. And when I say we, I mean your trust. So we deliver some programs. I mean, services within Rochdale Council, mainly the youth service, but then a large percentage of them 73 sites is voluntary community organisations running the programs, and it is across the borough, so it's across each of the townships. I'll show you a map after, but yeah, it's a borough-wide program. In summer, we had 33,162 places available for all our children. So that's over the duration of the summer. That's not individuals. That's the amount of places when you times it by at least 16 days available. We had 72% attendance. So those providers, when you were sending over monitoring and evaluation, that's why the team would have been on at you. Can you get your monitoring back so we can figure out what our attendance is, what our uptake is, and try and build on it as well and evaluate it going forward. Some of the provisions, some of the guys on the call would have had higher than that. So we might have had 90% attendance at some sites and 40%, 50% at others. So we're trying to increase that and work with providers that did have that low uptake and find out the reasons why. Just a little picture of Hollingwood Flakes, I mentioned before, just about the different type of activities, and there's so many different ways of doing HAF that we don't just set it as a template. As long as you're meeting that criteria at the start around enriching activities, there's criteria around at least 60 minutes of physical activity, but that physical activity could be walking, dancing. Sometimes people get confused and thinks it has to be sports. It has to be gym and fitness. It can be done in a variety of ways, and different providers do that. The food element, real important. So I've mentioned it before, but it does sometimes get lost by some of the providers, and it's one thing we're trying to improve across the borough. So that's Charlie from the youth service. You can see cooked food, healthy food being served to older children. So this is for primary and secondary age. So one thing we're trying to encourage and work with providers on is increasing that, the quality of the food that's on offer. We're working in partnership with Redwood School. So we've currently, last week, we ran our first workshop with them around supporting children with complex needs. So there are children, there's a quarter, so roughly a quarter of overall children eligible for free school meals having an additional need or disability. We currently are across our provision do not have the provision in place to cater for all them young people. So we're trying to work with different providers to upskill them, to try and increase the offer to make it more inclusive across the borough. We're getting better at it, and we've got better at it each holiday period, but it's still not quite there. So there's a training offer there with Redwood School. E-vouchers. So we're looking at how children book on and checking eligibility, because the way it has been done since 2021 has been referred, us asking, working with schools, working with early help professionals, but it is open to, it's a great offer because of what the providers do. So there are children that are not eligible that have been able to access and get their place before others. So what we're trying to do is make sure it goes to the children that are eligible. So this e-vouchers, people who are involved with programme should have seen this communication around Easter and summer, where children that was eligible got sent a code and got a message to say, this is where the offer is, go and find it. And this is your 16-digit code. What we're going to do now is go to a centralised booking system. And I think a few people might have some questions on that towards the end. But it's there to help providers with monitoring. It's there to show a live version of what's going on. So we're not waiting months after for feedback. It should help providers with submitting monitoring and evaluation as well. But it's this about making sure we've got the children that are eligible attending the programme, because they should have a code. And there's just a little bit. So the system that's used to distribute it is the same one system that schools will use to distribute the free school meal vouchers. That got transferred over to in 2021. So schools are used to using the system, but it's just a change now that HAF is on there as well, and it's in addition to the food vouchers. So it's not replacing the food vouchers. This is in addition to that. There's no cost to the schools that are involved. 55 schools across the borough sent out the summer e-vouchers for the programme, and I've got the figures. So that equates to 7,633 vouchers that were sent out. There's over 11,000 children on free school meals. So there are some schools across the borough that didn't send out the vouchers that we're trying to work with now, just to make sure it gets out to every child that's eligible. Those that have got funding for Christmas, you would have been sent the link to talk more about e-vouchers, look how the system works, find out how you upload your offer onto it. And that's next week. So we've got 2 training sessions, Tuesday morning and a Tuesday evening. We will try and put some more on if they're needed as well, because it is an important part of the programme going forward. So Christmas, providers are already in place. They've had the if you're a provider, you should have had your grant agreement sent if you was approved, and sat for you to sign and send back. Next step is to attend the e-vouchers training and get your session put on, and then the delivery starts at Christmas time. And again, we've got a variety of providers, we've got a variety of offer. So a lot centered around Christmas themed, around pantomimes and things like that. But then there are also other children that don't celebrate the period in the same way, where we've got programs that cater for them young people to make sure we've got a diverse program as well across the borough. Just some stats and how it's growing. So if you look at the bottom figure, 2022, and the number of children eligible for free school meals is 11,097 across the borough. So when it started in 2021, we was just below 10,000. And if you look at the summer 2021, 10,154, that's how the allocation was done nationally from that figure. No more money has come into the borough, but there's more needed. So it's a massive program, and we set a cost for providers, and this is a guide figure. So a lot of providers do this less. So we've got some real good providers that offer real good value for money. And the reason we look at it for value for money is we want this funding to reach as many as them 11,097 pupils as we can. So at the moment we set it at £20 per child per day. So if you did the maths of £20 per child per day times 4 days at Easter, 16 days at summer, 4 days at Christmas, that's a lot of money. So what we're trying to look at going forward is where we can providers do some stuff for less, some cost more. So Christmas time, we've got less access to outside facilities. Facilities might cost more, food costs. So we're trying to work with providers, but that's why we have that figure of £20 per child per day to try and the reason being just to try and reach as many children as we can and make the best use of the funding as possible. There's a map of sort of, if you can see that, I don't know how big it is on your screens, of where the most children with free school meals are located. So that comes into when we're looking at applications as well. We're looking at, have we got provision borough-wide? But also not just borough-wide for the sake of doing it borough-wide, but does the need where there's the most children? So on there, you can see the dark green of Balderstone and Kirkhope. We've got 42% of children living in that area are on free school meals. And then there's other high bits in other areas. So are the children attending from them areas? And also, have we got provision in them areas that they need it, so it's on their doorstep? So we're not putting on a provision in Norden where there's 8% and trying to get children from Balderstone and Kirkhope to travel over there. So that goes into the decisions as well when we're looking at applications. So the next round of funding will be for Easter. So applications open for Easter on the 3rd of January. They'll close on the 3rd of February to allow us to send grant agreements out, do training in the lead up, and for deliverers as well to set their programs up because they know they've been allocated the funding. Funding criteria will go on the website, so on the web page, and the link to apply will be on there as well. So if you put in Half Rochdale, all the information will be on there.